So is your indoor environment boring? Do you feel like something's missing? Do you like breathing clean air? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need a houseplant. You might be thinking you don't have room for a plant. Look around your home and notice if you have a sunny spot or a shady corner that just seems to be empty. Instead of filling these areas with clutter, what if you put a houseplant there instead? Are you intimidated by plant care? There are so many easy plants out there that everyone can be successful with houseplants. There are numerous benefits to having houseplants. We'll talk about those in a moment. Now that I have your interest, how do you decide which plant is right for you? Take a little time when you're home and notice how the sun filters in. Do you get morning sun and then shade in the afternoon? Is there a window that gets full sun all day long? These observations are important to the success of your plants. Once you have a general idea of the amount of light that you get in your home, you can determine if you need a sun-loving plant, a shade-loving plant, or something in between. Now that you have an idea of how much light you get, the next consideration is if you have pets or small children. It's very important to be sure that you're not bringing in a dangerous plant into your home. There are some plants, when ingested, that cause mild reactions, such as mouth irritation and things like that, and others that can be deadly. So you want to ensure that you're doing your research properly. If you're concerned, you can certainly give your veterinarian or pediatrician a call to determine which plants are safe for you. Your local garden center can also provide a safe alternative to plants that maybe you want but aren't quite right for your environment. And remember, some plants may be non-toxic, but also pose a threat. Cacti have thorns, as do many other plants, such as some fern varieties. So now you know how much light you have and what your safety restrictions are. Now comes the fun part, picking out a plant for your space. Plants come in practically every shape and size that you can imagine. Do you like spiky leaves like a snake plant? Interesting colors found in Rex begonias or vining varieties like pothos. What about leaf shape? Dark, shiny leaves of fiddle-leaf fig, the finger-like leaves of a split-leaf philodendron, or even the delicate heart-shaped philodendron varieties. Do you like dark leaves or light leaves? What about variegated, striped? The list goes on and on. The best thing to do is take a trip to your local garden center. This is especially rewarding on a cold and dreary day. Greenhouses are kept warm. The smell of the soil and the plant material bring you back to a nice warm spring hike. You can feel the stress of the day just melting away just by walking through the doors. In fact, in studies shared by Psychology Today, show that plants actually reduce your blood pressure, they can reduce stress, and improve your overall well-being. So they're good to have around. Once your blood pressure is sufficiently lowered in the greenhouse, you can take a look around you. Stroll through the aisles and see what interests you. When you find varieties that you like, make sure you imagine them in your space. Are they the right shape and size? Hopefully you're lucky enough to see mature varieties so you know how big these plants get. Make sure you look at the tag to be sure that they are right for your environment and they're not toxic to your pets or your children. And if you're still concerned, ask an employee for assistance. They can help you make the right choice and make sure that they give you helpful tips if necessary. Now that you've found a plant that you like, that's safe and appropriate for your space, what's next? You would think it's simple as just throwing it in the corner or throwing it on your windowsill, but you want to make sure that you give the plant a little time to acclimate to your environment. Your house is probably very different than a greenhouse. It's probably drier, maybe cooler. So you want to make sure you give your plant enough time to settle in, to set yourself up for success. It's also a good idea to establish a watering routine right now. Pick a day that you'll be sure that you don't forget. A coworker of mine uses Wednesdays because Wednesday and watering both start with W. Makes sense. It works for her. Some plants can be quite dramatic if they miss their scheduled watering. Peace lilies, for example, will droop and look dead. I can assure you they are not dead. It's almost impossible to kill them by not watering them. Once you give them a little bit of water, they perk right up and they may even throw a flower for you. Maidenhair ferns, on the other hand, will curl up and die if you miss a watering by an hour or two. Make sure you don't get those as your first try. Once settled in, you'll find that there's a weird happiness of seeing leaves unfurled and new flowers bloom with just a little bit of care on your part. Plants look good, they smell nice, they bring interest to your home, and as I mentioned, they can help reduce stress. They have another beneficial property too. A study by NASA suggests that plants can actually filter out some of the pollutants in our home environment. Our respiration process, as we all know, we inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide. Plants are just the opposite. The photosynthesis process absorbs carbon dioxide and releases oxygen back into the environment. The study is, or the theory is that when the carbon dioxide is absorbed by the plant, some pollutants are also absorbed, and oxygen that's released is more clean. It's still incomplete, but it's interesting to think about. Adding plants to your home is a great way to gain benefits that we've talked about. But be careful though, they can be addicting. Before you know it, you could be moving furniture out of your home to bring in more plants and have your friends and family questioning your sanity. But don't worry, you won't be stressed out because you're surrounded by so many plants. Thank you.